No. Good morning, my family. Hello, hello. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it's not like this. Is that better? Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I haven't unleashed my dark aura. Gotta bring that in. It's, no. Well, yeah, actually, that looks good. Oh, you know what? The camera might be reacting to the ambient light. Good morning, mob family. Hello, everyone. Let me put the chat so I see who's talking, who's what, where everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I sound wavery. I don't know what that might be on your end. It's from the sunshine, right? And the camera picks up the light behind me and automatically dims the show. The music is amazing. Yeah. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, let me put up the. Let's see. We have to put the Streamyard link so people can go there and let us know who they are. So let me say good morning to her. Good morning, Marie. I'm going to say good morning. As usual, you take the time zone that applies to you. So if it's nighttime, you make that good morning mean good evening. So good morning, Marie. Hello. Good morning, Audrey. Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Craig. I know it's you because you're the villain arriving. Hashtag villain. Chris Mendoza. Morning. Hello, Linda. Facebook user who I don't know who you are, but good morning. Anthony, good morning. Let's see. Heather, good morning. Stacy, good morning and welcome. You haven't been here for a while, so welcome, Stacy. Let's see. Jim, good morning. Who else is here? John, good morning. Another Facebook user. I'm going to put the link up. Go to the link and give permission to StreamYard so they know who you are and they can put your name. Let's see. Dominic, good morning. Welcome. Don't no need to be sorry. Don't apologize. It's life happens. Things happen. The most important thing is that now you are here with us, and you're always in our thoughts. Even when you weren't here, Jasmine made sure to pass on your greetings. So good morning, everyone. We're all here. Let me get through the announcements. So shout outs to everyone on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. So hello, everyone in the world on YouTube. We have a very large audience from all over the world. That's you. Um, We're on Instagram. I have been posting on Instagram uh, at Bitten Peaches, and I've been putting up the little excerpts that are there. So that's go to Instagram, find us at Bitten Peaches, and you'll see little excerpts from the books that are try to put up regularly. So yeah, she's not here yet, but yeah, but she made it a point, Stacy, to let us know what was going on with you when you said hello and things like that. On Zazzle, we're at M&S, so EMANDES. Go there. We have plenty of swag, so go get swag from Monty Strong. There's Peaches swag. There's all kind of swag. So go to Zazzle.com, look up M&S. That's our store, our Monty Strong store, and all things related. And go to M&S, EMANDES, and you'll find stuff that there's plenty of stuff there to get. So go get your swag. Hmm? On? Oh, is it on? Okay. We have new patrons. So I want to thank the new patrons. First, I want to thank all the old patrons who are supporting us and making it possible to do the things that we do. And the new patrons are Sarah Morgan and Terry Atkinson. So thank you both for being amazing new patrons. Our new Patreon only story. So for the backers or for the members of Patreon. Our new Patreon story will be on the 31st of March. But if you go there now, you can pick up and you can read. How many are we up to now? Patreon stories? 8? Like 8 stories um, that are there already, but that are only for Patreon backers. So our supporters on Patreon. So go there. If you're new to Patreon, if you're a new Patreon member, a new patron, and go get your stories. And then in March, at the end of March, it's every 2 months. At the end of March, you'll have a new story to create. I can tell you, it's pretty fun. Okay, um, newsletter will be out next month, second week of next month. I have stuff that I need to put on it, so that's where it'll come out. I try not to overly overdo it because then it comes spam. So I try to keep it, at least once a month. But although I've been a little bit neglecting it because I've been in the middle of two projects, which we'll get to later. We're on BookBub, so go follow us on BookBub. And we're on Binge Books. So Binge Books is growing, really growing, especially with this with the AI thing that's happening. Binge Books started with the premise of AI was going to be big in the publishing industry. They were kind of one of the first, I guess, book-related groups to do that. So now that AI is really hitting stuff, they're really coming to the forefront of things. So go to Binge Books, bingebooks.com, and you'll find me there because I'm there, one of the founding members. And just follow me there. It's free. And write a review of the books that you have read, which would be awesome. Okay, and let's get into it. How are you guys doing? Let's see, I'm in the middle. So you can ask me all kinds of questions. I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And yeah, so how are we doing today? I hope you're all doing well. We've had some great weather here, but I know the country is like either going through massive freezing or incredible heating. Oh, we have new YouTube subscribers also. Okay, so when you get their names, if you get their names, let us know. But to the new YouTube subscribers, if you're here, welcome. We've got it keyboard. All right, we're up to 7. That's great. That's awesome. Little by little, we'll get there. Yeah, Jasmine is awesome, but I won't tell her that. Okay, Stacy. As Jasmine comes in, I don't know, 2 minutes later. Hello, Emily. Welcome. I know you're on YouTube. I can see it from the icon. I'm glad you can see us on YouTube because not everyone's on Facebook. Another day in paradise. Yeah, it's pretty warm down there where you are, Jim. So yeah. And there you go. So Jim, it's warm where Jim is, and then there's an ice storm somewhere else. The Facebook user is telling us. Who's that Facebook user? Joy? Joy, yes. Hi, Joy. So right now the country's in this weird, like it's either freezing or Portland, Oregon just got like a foot of snow yesterday. And I'm sure Jim hasn't seen snow in years. He's been in Florida for a while. So the country's like through this weird weather situation right now. So glad all of you could make it today. It's been pretty awesome. Yeah, yeah, Louisiana is always warm. It's always warm and balmy, right, Stacey? Because you guys are that's where you are near the Gulf. And do you guys get really cold winters? I don't think so, right? So there are things okay, you can ask me questions about Lost Runes and Nocturne Melody and even Rose in the Cauldron of Thorns. But there are things happening, and I have stuff going on with these stories that I can't quite share yet, but I'll try to answer the questions as you ask them. You know, a week of cold. I wish we could say that here, Stacey. Oh yeah, I know you lived in. I know what you know about cold, Jim, because you're up here. You're up north. But now in Florida, it's like All right, I'm dropping the link. Everyone who needs to have their name shown on StreamYard. Here's the link one last time, and then it's going. All right. Guess it was hiding my face. So, Beard Watch. It's exactly January 23rd was when I said I'm gonna grow the beard out, and so we're exactly a month and a day into the beard, and itchiness is gone, which is like the worst part of the beard is the itchiness. So the itchiness is gone, and now it's just kind of filling in. So I'm getting fuzzy, which is Will be interesting for summer. Yeah, it's really weird all over the country right now. That's what I was saying. It's out there. Who's this? That's Rebecca, and that's Jean. Hello, Jean. Hello, Rebecca. Welcome. So yeah. So I can answer questions about lost rooms. Oh, we have a bunch of questions. Let me get them ready because I know we have a bunch of questions in the post of questions. So I'll get those up and ready too. So I can answer a bunch of questions. So let's discuss what I'm currently doing. So I know I shared this with you guys when I started it, which is I was writing 3 books simultaneously, right? And that has become I'm still writing 3 books simultaneously, but that has become welcome page. That has become 2 books solid and 1 book intermittent, which is the I don't even know what to call it. RUF, romance, urban fantasy, UFR, urban fantasy romance. So um so Lost Rooms and Nocturnally solid. They're about halfway through, so I should have them. March is going to be a solid. Between now and the mid March, should be both those books should be done. And then Rose in the Cauldron of Thorns will be maybe a week or 2 after that because I think my max. I'm figuring this out. Now. I'm trying to kind of get to this right. I think my max is writing 2 full-length novels at the same time. I think the bandwidth my brain can probably handle the most. I could do a full novel and a short story. That's kind of easy to do because the short story ends and the full novel keeps going, right? But 2 full novels takes a little bit more to kind of focus on and get done. 3 novels, yeah, the Rose in the Cauldron of Thorns is one because it's unfamiliar territory for me. Also because 3 novels is like, whoa, you know? Oh, what do we need? Like that, Stacy. What do we need to make you dye the beard pink or lime green? Um, that's not happening again. I'm sorry. All right, so wait. My closer has been off school this week, and she's floating somewhere in the background, and she wants to welcome the show. So come on in. Z, where are you? Hello. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Episode 88. Yeah, hello. It's awesome.
Welcome to Wild Kaffeeklatsch episode 88.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
We have people on YouTube too. Let's say hi to people on YouTube. When did that happen? The YouTube?
No.
We started 15 minutes ago. Opener. What?
I thought you guys were ending.
We're starting. You can be here for the closing too.
Isn't it
What's that? 11:30. What time is it?
11:30?
Oh.
I thought it started at 11.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
And then you come back later to close. All right. Close the screen. She's off her schedule because she's been off school this whole week. So her mornings are all scrambled up. So yeah, if she looks really beautiful, it's because she has her mother's genes. Yeah, Craig. So, okay, how do I preface this? I wanted to try to do 3 books because I thought I was able to, how do I explain it? Lost Rooms is always going to be easy because Mountain Strong is easy for me, right? Nocturne Melody, while not Mountain Strong, requires a bit of a mind shift. I've always said that it's a different mindset, right? So, and I'm warm. Why am I so warm? It's a different mindset, and so I kind of have to shift to get into Nocturne Melody. It's a little darker. When I give the pages to Dolly, some of the notes I always get back from her is, "This is really dark." So it is dark, and Rose in the Cauldron of Thorns is more because it's like I was saying before, it's UFR or RUF. Kind of like RUF is like rough, but It's UFR, like urban fantasy romance with the emphasis on urban fantasy. So it's unknown territory for me. It's kind of unexplored territory. So I focus on what I know, and then I kind of dabble in the other stuff and get kind of progress the story that way. But yeah, so as you were saying, Craig, yeah, one is fine, two books are doable, but three, yeah, it's tough to do three at once. So I don't know how Asimov used to do multiple typewriters with multiple stories all at the same time. I'm gonna have to research it a bit more. But he was also writing a lot of short stories, and I'm writing novels, so it's kind of a same but different, similar but different kind of thing. So there's an introduction of a different. I don't know if I can even say this without spoiling it. There's an introduction of a different family member for Monty in Lost Rooms, but I can't say much more than that. But it's developing really well in his pursuit for the Lost Rooms. He's had to reach out to this family member, and yeah, I can't say much more because it's gonna spoil it. So I don't want to spoil it. I mean, I'll give you snippets, but this this character doesn't appear until a little later on in the story, so I don't want to spoil it for you. But it's been very fun writing the new family member. Apparently, the Montague family is very, very large. Who knew? Yes, Chris. Dark is good for the Night Warden, and every time I write it, I have to kind of step back a little bit and shift gears because it takes my brain into a really dark place because Gray is a dark. I don't want to say cynical because it's not cynical, but he's a really dark character, you know. So yeah, I need to take a break from from the writing when I after getting into Night Warden, I need to take a break. In Rose and Cloud of Thorns are the two on the cover together. No, they're not together. On the cover, Stacy, is Fen, which is like a father figure guardian, and Val, which is his warden, his ward, the woman, the girl he's supposed to take care of. So it's like father daughter type thing. So they're not together. Yeah, he picked up his cup of coffee, realized it had grown cold, and nothing worse than cold coffee with hard thinking. It's needed for sure. Um, Anthony's asking, will we ever have a prequel without Mage Charger? Yeah, no, there's no ever going to be a Mage Charger of Monty and Strong. This is a short prequel of how Monty and Simon met, which is No God is Safe. So that's about as much prequel as I want to do in terms of that because I sprinkle in a lot of the history throughout the stories and I'll make kind of like references to stuff that happened in the past. But I think the No God is Safe is kind of like the prequel that matters in the sense of this is how Monty and Simon met. And then there was the War Mage, which is, I won't say it's a prequel because it's only focusing on Monty, but it focuses on Monty way before he meets Simon. So if you read the War Mage, you'll get a little bit more insight into why Monty is where Monty is. Hey, you need these? Okay. So let's see. You're welcome, Stacey. Yeah. Gray's a doomed optimist. Yeah, he's a realist, is what Gray really is. He doesn't entertain illusions about who he is, what he does, or his state of being, and the world around him. So he doesn't entertain those kind of illusions because of what he's done, where he is in terms of his life, and what's changed about Gray recently. And Dolly pointed this out to me in one of the notes that I gave her. She sent me an excerpt of what is that Gray was focused on dying, right? And basically that's kind of what he was how he was living his life was, he was gonna die. And if you ever been around people who are terminal, it's a very different. It can either go one or two ways. They could be appreciate every moment of life, make the most of it, and squeeze as much life as you can out of every second, or it's I'm not going to be here much longer, and so I'm reserved to that fact. And sometimes a person can go between both extremes. Gray doesn't isn't really the happy-go-lucky type of person, but he's also not in a deep, dark depression over the situations in his life. So he's somewhere in the middle. I try to write him somewhere in the middle, but he's not. He's not. He's not Simon. He's not going to come out with snark that way. He's not going to be with a quip for everything. He's very down to earth. Coda is his foil. Coda is the one that has made him realize that there's more to life than dying. It's a very interesting kind of way of seeing things. Yeah, with Gray, it's really big. It is what it is. He's very straightforward about that kind of thing. And what he's learning in this book, in Nacionality, is how important the people around him are to him, which is really, it's a new lesson for him because he's always been thinking just about himself and the fact that he's not going to be here much longer. But now with Coda, with Cole, Frank, and he's letting other people in, not many because he's still Gray, but he's letting another character in, which is in this new book in Nocturnality. He's realizing that yes, dying is not the only option. If he can live, other people can have a better life too. If M&S is a metaphor for PTSD, Gray is an example of the Kubler Ross. Yeah, basically, in a way, I think that's an apt metaphor, and I think he's going through that passage of anger, denial. He's working through it, and he realizes that he still has a lot of work left to do. Yeah, like Chris said, he says things to do. And one of the things that if you look at the character of Gray, I've always tried to kind of give the strata of the characters. Gray is the one on the streets. Gray is the one who cares for the people who don't have a voice, right? Um, Monty and Strong are a little bit more big picture, so they care about uh, what's happening to the city, what's happening to the country, larger threats. And then when it gets to other groups, it's a little bit more global. So it's different strata. Would like to learn a bit about the branch of Monster that lives in the Black Forest. That's not coming until, let me look at the, that's not for a while. Because right now we're on book 19. The next book is Entropy. The book after that is Archmage. Maybe in Archmage, and maybe in the book after Archmage. So the Black Forest doesn't come into play until, I want to say CS 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, maybe 20, book 25, around there. We get into the Black Forest. The story about the Black Forest is really awesome. There is an ogre that's a mage that lives in the Black Forest. That's part of that story. So there's a whole different take on ogres and creatures like that. When does Simon learn how to use his power? It's an ongoing thing with Simon. I mean, if you look at it, like as you all know, he's not a mage, right? So his aptitude for magic is growing to use the energy, right? But he's not a mage, so he didn't have the benefit, let's say Monty one, of being much older, and two, being born into that world. So it's gonna take him a long time for him to get that kind of understanding of what it means to manipulate energy like a mage does, but he's not a mage. So it's always gonna be with a different spin. And usually it's gonna make things worse than before they make anything better, Because it's Simon. That sounds like a recipe for disaster, Anthony. So Anthony's saying a Montague family reunion / cookout with Simon on the barbecue grill would be hilarious. Yeah. Exactly, Chris, or Zardoz. Simon is a human being made to learn magic. So he's exposed to it, he's picking it up, his mind is open enough to kind of embrace it and understand that it exists and that it's real. But now there's a huge leap from understanding that it's real to, okay, now you can do it. that takes a lot of years. It takes a lot of training. Yeah, it takes a lot of discovering who you really are. He has to make, I don't want to say peace, but he has to reconcile with the fact that he's cursed alive. And a lot of people don't get when I say he's cursed alive because he's still among the people that were with him when he was cursed. But if you extrapolate that to 100, 200, 300, 400 years, everyone he knows now may be gone. And as time progresses, he gets low. That group of people around him starts to shrink, and he may become cynical. He may become like bitter, and so it really does become a curse the longer he lives. He just hasn't gotten to that part yet. Well, he will eventually. Um, Simon. So the Simon must have magical blood. It's not just that he has magical blood. It's also there's a predisposition now because I don't know. It's not spoiler. It's spoiler-ish, but it's not a spoiler. After he after he was with Rogue, remember guys when Rogue cut his hand and he cut Simon's hand with Evan's soul and he merged the blood. So now Simon has dragon blood in him. That has complicated things, but it's also made things simpler. So there you go. So it's not just that he has magic blood, but he has dragon blood, and so that has merged with his blood. So they're going to be, and that comes up in later books. That's going to be a benefit, but it's also going to be a definite con. It's going to be a definite problem. Vegan BBQ. We don't do vegan BBQ. No, sorry. And like Anthony said, that would be a tantamount to declaration of war. Yes, not all mages are vegan. I don't think Dexter's vegan because Dexter's Dexter. Yes, that's very close to what it is, Chris. Very close. And the dragons come back later on, so they never really leave, but they make their appearances, right? So I don't think Dexter could ever be a vegan. But then Dexter doesn't really adhere to any of the rules that apply to mages anyway. So, in terms of eggplants, my mom used to make. Do we know what the name of that plate was? My mom used to make this great eggplant dish that I didn't get the recipe for, so it's lost to me now. But I don't remember. She was so good when she would make it. In Spanish, we call it berenjena. I don't know what do you call it in French. Aubergine, yeah, aubergine. That is a color too, right? Aubergine. So in Spanish, it's berenjena. But my mom would make this dish. Oh my god, I'm hungry now. I'm hungry right now just thinking about it. She used to make this eggplant dish that was so good. Wow. And the ceviche that she would make. She would make this awesome ceviche too, which I guess we can learn the ceviche, but the eggplant dish, I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry, this is not a food channel, but whoa, I'm getting hungry now. Any explanation why Monty is vegan? Yes, at his age, in his stage of being a mage, being vegan allows him more access to his power. That's why. And if you study this in terms of a little bit more mundane and also esoteric, many cultures where there are shaman or spiritual leaders, many of them stay away from meat because of the toxicity that's in meat and stick to plant-based diets because according to them, and a lot of it has been substantiated by science, according to them, they can access the meditative state easier, it's healthier for them, and it allows them to get into a certain state of mind easier. They don't feel as weighed down because of the protein that's in the meat. So they try to get their protein from different places. That's why Monty is vegan. Later on, because Dexter's not vegan, later on it becomes a little less necessary because you get so strong. Yeah, right, exactly. Dexter is who's that saying that? Dexter. Oh, that's Craig. Yeah, Dexter's definitely not vegan. Dexter, no, there's no way, shape, or form that Dexter could be vegan. So let's see, vegan or more magical power. Yeah, Southern mages would have a problem because there's a lot of good food in the South. Yes. Hmm. Eggplant parmesan is good. Veal, I like veal. I made some veal the other day. Oh my gosh, so good. See, we're going to make this a cooking channel. This will be the MoB Kaffeeklatsch / food channel. So it has to be cooked right. And I apologize if any of you are vegans or what's the other one? Octo what? Octo lacto? What is the other one? Octo lact vegetarians. I apologize that we're talking about meat and dairy and poultry. So no offense meant to any of you who would swear off meat, but I don't think I will ever be vegan. I like my steaks. We haven't had steak in a while. Why? Mm. Is that the face I take? Meat is life. I want meat. I want steak, man. I'm hungry for steak. Meat is life for sure. So yeah, so that's the whole thing about what we were just discussing: meat and and eggs and eggplant. So uh, a vegan aspirin would be one I would just have. Yeah, well, no, just let's just so in terms of the story, that's why Monty doesn't eat meat. But after a while, as he gets stronger, I think the demands of manipulating the energy may have him eat protein, may have him eat meat. I've never really considered the dietary needs of mages, but there's a lot of mythos and background and actual science that a lot of people who claim to be into these esoteric practices shy off meat because it allows them a facility to get into the esoteric practice. Bye bye, Stacy. It was great having you here. Tofu crumbled chili. Yeah, I don't do tofu. I never enjoyed the taste of tofu. But I can imagine it's good if it's prepared right. And the angel of death, yeah, Ezra owns a deli. That should tell you everything. There you go. Bye, Marie. It was great having you here. Have a great weekend. So omnivores definitely for the win. Omnivores. Let's go with omnivores. That's definitely it. And meat is life. Who said meat is life? Who's that? But bye, Marie. I agree, Rebecca. Meat is life. Yeah, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm just gonna go for the real thing, Heather, and see how that goes, and we'll see. I don't see myself changing the diet anytime soon. At least not for Monty. Monty has great salads when he visits Ezra's and when he visits Piero's, and Simon will be doing the meat. So we'll see that. In my personal life, it's not even a question. I do meat, so because meat is life. I'm definitely in Peach's camp when it comes to that. Okay, so do you guys have any questions about the current projects? Yeah, I don't know. That's not really too. Oh, Anthony, I don't think that's two opposing factions. I think you're gonna need something more than vegans versus the meat is life than for an actual war mages. The magical theory of absorption, did they not eat flesh of living creatures so they would not absorb any frailty of the flesh? I think in some of the mythos that was the theory to not one to not eat so they wouldn't get the frailties or the poisons of the flesh. You know? Monty could definitely have a knish. It's potato based. So yeah, he could definitely have a knish. Next time when I go to Ezra's, I'll make sure Monty has a knish. Just for you, Jim. TK Nana team. I don't even know what that means. The TK Nana team. Oh, TK Nana team up? You want to put those two together. Yeah, because you want me to just destroy the world, basically? You have to understand. So in order to team up, let's say TK with anyone or Nana with anyone, the threat has to be off the charts for me to justify having those two needing to team up to deal with something. because they're just so powerful. Which is why you don't see them that often in the stories. They'll come in, they'll do, they'll help, they'll do something, but they don't they don't take over the story. They're very much a supporting role. Same thing with Nana. Nana, if she's not pretending she's dead somewhere, she's in hiding. She doesn't come out that much. Like she came out in Stormblood because she needed to, right? But you saw even Dex took a back seat and let Nana do her things because she's just that strong. So there will be this. I think Jules or Jeanette asked about it about a, a Dex and Nana team up, but that's gonna be more tongue in cheek, and they're gonna be kind of like senior magicians kind of thing, doing their thing and have fun with that. So that's gonna be a little bit different. That's let's make sure Peaches stays in the show. That's a little different. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that one. When I get to old, that's gonna be called old magic. So yeah, we'll see. But I try to avoid that kind of power creep because to have TK and Anna team up would be like, you know, that would be. It has to be an end of the world event for them to have to team up. Like think about like in Avengers Infinity War type thing. It has to be something that kind of like existential threat where they would come in. Like all the times that something happens and Simon says to Dex, can we call the 10 or can we call TK and LD, right? And Dex's typical answer is not unless the world is being threatened. You want to call them because it's so below their pay grade. That's how powerful they are. Okay, so who would be the most powerful characters in the M&S universe? I think Ezra would be at the top because Ezra, everybody meets Ezra, right? So Ezra would be in relation to comic book power skating rules. Ezra would be like the Living Tribunal, I think is what it's called. What's that one being that is above all beings? So Ezra would be that being because everyone meets Ezra eventually. And then and Jim is supposed to, but it's going to change. Yeah, the one above all. That would be Ezra because eventually everyone meets Ezra, right? And then it depends. I think after that, Anthony, because there are deities in the world. So you've got Hades, you've got the Morrigan, and they're very powerful. So if you want to get to the point where Monty and Simon are, they're very low on the rung of power. They don't really. That's why they're always in over their heads. Power level seems to rise with each. It does, but it also, as it rises in the books, it also opens up the fact that there's so much more to power in the books. So even though they're getting stronger, like Monty gets stronger and Simon gets stronger, each time they get stronger, they realize they might have gotten stronger in relation to how they were previously, but in relation to the larger scheme of power, they're still relatively weak. And That's how I'm dealing with the power creep in the stories because I don't want them to get so strong that now they're like gods because it would make it would break the world in a way, you know. Yeah, excuse me. Simon is heading there, but being Simon and being human and being the way he is, even though he acquires power, it doesn't mean that he knows how to use it. One, because he doesn't have the experience. So 9 times out of 10, every time he attempts to use it, something's going to go wrong because he doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the training. So having the power is only one side of the equation, right? You can have the power, but if you don't know how to use it, it's almost like not having the power. So there's a refining to be done to Simon before he can be considered powerful. What he is a potentiality. He's a threat. And the beings that know of him or that meet him always acknowledge the fact that Simon is a potential threat. But they never say that he is powerful. If you ever notice, they always say he's the Mark Dukali, he's a Panato Hellhound, he's the Aspis, he's all this stuff. But that doesn't equate to him being powerful. It just equates to the potential for devastation that he presents to the world and to the people around him. But it's not that he himself is powerful yet. So any one of those aspects has the possibility of being really bad and dangerous, but um, he can't do it yet, basically. So it's like he has the powers there within his reach, but he doesn't know how to really use it. He's just getting past magic missile, put it that way. So if we were gonna do this like in D&D terms, he's still like a level 3, level 4, mage. And there's no limits. It's like level 80s, level 90s. So he's still way, way, way at the bottom in terms of power. The only thing that saves him, or his saving grace, is that he has Callie's curse, one, and that he is with Monty, who does have power and knows how to use it. But even Monty's not considered a heavy hitter. Monty's considered like an average mage, maybe above average, but to put it in perspective, Monty cannot even get close to where Dexter is in terms of power. Right? He's a potential callus, exactly, Heather. And good morning, Wendy. Welcome. You made it. Yes. And that's something that I think every author who is doing these kind of like, mages, wizards, that kind of stuff, you have to be careful about the power creep, because if you're not aware of it, it will get away from you, and then you'll have. This is something that kind of happened in Dresden, right, with Jim Butcher, where Harry started becoming so powerful that he had to bring in beings that were even like ridiculously more powerful, because Harry was just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. So you have to be aware of what you're doing with your characters and how the power creep, because it happens no matter what. It's going to happen, but you got to be aware of how it's happening and the world that's it's set in, what's going on around that character. So you have to be that as often as you have to be careful of that. So just be aware. If you make your characters too strong, you're gonna have issues later on in how to deal with all that power. So that's something to be concerned about. All right, go do your store run later, Craig. Um, Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that is something that even now with Lost Runes, because Lost Runes, the book is it's an exercise, or it's a theory or an argument in should power be available to everyone, or should it be kept away from those who seek it? That's really kind of what's at the heart of Lost Runes and what Monty is kind of embarking on right now. And Monty's all for it should be available. It should be out there so people can access it, because when you take away the esoteric aspect of it, the exoticness of it, and it becomes a mundane thing, then people who want to use it for ill won't seek it out. That's his thinking. Whereas Simon is, some things should be kept secret, some things should be kept away because they're just too dangerous for people to get their hands on. And so that clashing of thoughts is what's happening in Lost Runes now. It's going to be happening. Right, that would be a nightmare, Anthony. If there were an Archmage Monty and a Dark Immortal Simon, and Peach is fully grown, nothing could practically stand against them. It would, that would be the last book. That's it. They take over the world. End of story. End of the series. Boom. Um. So yes, exactly like Monty versus Dread Dormammu type of thing. The way Doctor Strange beat Dread Dormammu in the movie, and the way he treated Dread Dormammu in the movie is very different from the way Doctor Strange used to deal with Dread Dormammu in the comic books. Because he understood the power, but he was able to withstand it. And they were more of a nemesis, and they were. I wouldn't say they were on equal footing, because Dread Dormammu was ridiculously powerful, but Doctor Strange had ways of dealing with it. Whereas Doctor Strange in the movie was basically, he was coming at him to put him in a time loop, which I don't think would have held water in the comic books. Yes, power should be earned, and as I've always said in the books, there's always a cost to power, always. And so, when you acquire power without paying the cost, it gets corrupted easily because you don't understand what it takes to obtain the power, right? So it becomes this tool that runs rampant. When you pay the cost and you realize that it takes time and that it needs to be earned, that it happens over a long time, and you mature as you gain the power, it's usually wielded with wisdom. But, you know, as the saying goes, power does corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolute. Be strict, but explain thoroughly why. Yeah, there always has to be an explanation as to why there's a restriction. Because if not, then the characters would just acquire all the power possible, and that's it. So there has to be limitations, whether it's physical limitations, mental limitations, psychological limitations, or external limitations that are in place to prevent the acquisition of too much power. So there are many ways to put limitations into the story, and there are many ways to put limitations on the character so that they don't become too powerful. And then you can explain why. Well, so some spells don't have warnings. Some spells depend or count on the discretion of the caster, right? So Monty's argument is that there is no such thing as as evil casting or as evil magic. It has no morality to it. It's just energy, and it depends on the person who's casting it, right? Whether it's used for good or evil. That's Monty's argument. I'm not saying that's my argument, but that's where Monty justifies what he does. That's where he comes from. This is the warning. Oh, Rebecca said that. Yeah, yeah. I don't know about. So my position on that with why Monty holds that position about morality is that good and evil could be a matter of perspective in the mage world, right? And sometimes you could be doing good in one area. You know how they say everyone is a villain in someone's story? It's the same thing with magic, right? What one person perceives as good, another person may perceive as that's evil. And so the morality can't be forced. So Monty has that principle of there's no such thing as evil magic, it's evil magic users. So yeah. And yeah, like Chris is saying, evil people don't think they're evil. Many of them rationalize their acts and they think, I'm doing this for the greater good. And outside of the books, history is filled with people that we call tyrants and dictators and all this stuff. And in their minds, they believe that what they were doing was for the good of their group or the good of their country, whatever the case may be. But you know, if you're outside looking in, you're saying, "What are you kidding? That's completely evil." But in their minds, they're going, "No, I have to do this so that on the other side of this, I can usher in a utopia." And that's usually how villains think. But a lot of mages may think that way too. They think I'm going to learn all this power because then if I have the power, I can be a good person. And then we fall back into that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Because if there's no check and balance, if you could do whatever you wanted to do and there were no consequences, do you know how many people would turn dark or would go evil if there were no consequences? Yeah, that's the only thing that stops people from doing that is the fact that there are consequences to your actions. And in many cases, we see that there are no consequences to people's actions. And they do things and they keep doing it and they keep doing it. And then eventually, maybe there are consequences. Let's see, no one is a villain in their story. No, not in their own story, but everyone is a villain in someone else's story. You can be a villain in someone else's story, but you're never a villain in your own story, right? Because you always see yourself in the best possible light, right? This is Harry Potter stuff. Monty Ravenclaw with Slytherin tendencies. Simon Hufflepuff. I'm not that well versed on Harry Potter, so you'd have to speak to one of the Valkyries. She can tell you about Harry Potter. It seems that strikes me that Monty sometimes comes across as insecure in his power. Right, his drive towards power for the greater good, And the fact that he, for him, in many instances, not all, is that the ends justify the means, or the means justify the ends, right? So if he thinks that it's going to be for a positive outcome, he's not exactly averse to doing things that would make it considered dark magic or blood magic to get to the end that he considers that a good end. You know, he's kind of what would be considered morally ambiguous when it comes to that. You know, Heinlein said two kinds of people: those who want to control others and those who just want to be left alone. Yeah, it's kind of true what Heinlein says, but you know, it doesn't always work the way people want it to work. Whoa, okay, looking at the time, we've got questions. Hold on. Quick shift to the questions. I can't see you, but Dolly can see you guys. Okay, here we go. I'm going to the questions now. Oh, oh, oh. Play question music. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, here we go. We have questions. So the first questions are from Audrey. Hello, Audrey. Thank you, Audrey, for your great questions. Okay, Orlando, what do you need help with most often in regard to your writing? Have you not been on one of the art teams? Uh, Punctuation, commas. It's in regard to the writing. I don't need help with the actual writing. I need help with the editing that comes after the writing. In the writing phase, there's this old saying that you write the first draft for yourself, and then all the subsequent writing after that is for everyone else, for your audience. For the first draft, for the part that I'm reading, the part that's written for me, I don't need help because I know I'm gonna miss commas. I know I'm gonna miss apostrophes, so I'm not worried about that in the first draft. The first draft is really get the book out, get it done, get it finished, write the end. Then we start looking at polishing it, shaping it up, fixing it, adding the commas and apostrophes and quotes and things like that, and fixing any typos. I don't need help with that part, with the writing. So, but yeah, editing, which is still part of the writing, right? Editing, yes, that's why we need help. Dolly, question for you. Do you now, or have you ever found it difficult to critique Orlando's writing? I was going to say my handwriting. Because handwriting would say, yes. Well, you can read it. That's why. Yeah. So you can read hieroglyphics.
Hi, Audrey. I wouldn't use the word difficult. I would say I'm sensitive to how it's done. And I had to look up the definition of critique and really understand the difference versus criticism. I definitely do not criticize, but when it comes to critiquing, there are two things that you would be on. One is the book covers,
Yeah.
and the book covers that first you don't quite know what to expect
Sure.
as an outside person
Right.
because Orlando sees his own version of things.
Yeah, it's true.
So there were covers that I found were not what I would have expected.
Right.
So you ask questions, and over time you realize, oh, what I'm thinking is
Yeah.
really not at all what the author is seeing.
Very different.
So,
But the covers are also subjective, right? Because
yes, exactly.
some people see one thing and it turns them off, and some people see another thing and go, I gotta read that story.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But I don't see it in terms of whether I like or don't like the cover.
Right.
But whether it sort of fits the
Makes sense.
story.
Yeah.
And what a reader, potential reader, would expect to derive from the cover.
That's why your perspective is important, because when I send you like a cover or pages to read, you ask questions or you make statements that I would never think of making, because your perspective is coming as a reader. And so you're looking at it as a reader, like maybe from the outside in. And so I get to see a whole different dimension. Oh, I never thought about, yeah, that makes sense. And then I can adjust certain things in the story to kind of take into account that opinion or that perspective that you may have that I never would have seen it because someone said the story. That, or I already know what the cover should mean. But you're gonna see the cover, you're not gonna know like this means that and this means that, and this,
I'm lacking that part part of
right, the inside, the behind the scenes, right, which is most readers. The behind the scenes, right, which is most readers. In other words, when most readers see a cover, they don't know all the behind the scenes that goes into the cover until they read the story. But it's like, you see the cover, okay, but what does that mean? What does that mean? And then, so yeah, it's a really good insight to have. And thank you, that's awesome.
And even though they say a cover of pictures worth 1,000 words, but in a novel you've got 70,000 words.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's not really accurate.
Right.
When it comes to the material, the story, I do not critique at all.
No, she doesn't.
I don't think any author should be critiqued to
not
a certain
in the
extent,
midst of, yeah.
because they really have their own story in their mind, and things that you don't see that they've written, they've either figured it out or they're figuring it out. So it's really presumptuous
to critique during
uncalled for, inappropriate for a reader, or be it a reader to say, this is not how they're supposed to sound.
I've had that. Monty would never say that.
This is what you should write, and they actually have, complete.
Oh yeah, they provide you
sentences and paragraphs.
You're like,
and you're reading that, and you just tell this doesn't actually fit the characters. So whatever you're imagining in your head, there's not a real overlap or
usually those are writers that need to write their books.
Right.
I've dealt with it before, and the advice that I've always given to people like that is every writer needs to write their own books, because you have the book within you. And usually what happens is if you don't address that, then you start looking at other books and trying to fix other books, because the creative desire is within you, but you're thwarting it, you're stunting it. So now you're going to try and fix other creative situations without addressing your need to be creative. So yeah, totally.
So the critiques, comments I give are more of an editor style.
Yeah, and then observations too.
Observations like, hey, are you sure
this
is something that makes sense?
Oh yeah, like even in the most recent one you saw, like with what's happening, like if they can sense them, can they sense back, kind of thing. Yeah.
So, and more derived, because he's got a lot of things that he has to keep track of.
A lot.
And obviously there are some things that wouldn't be necessarily have in mind.
True. And sometimes it's there, but I haven't, and I've thought about it, but then I keep going. You know what I mean? And then when Dolly will make a comment, and then it'll jog my memory and go, like, I put a pin in it in my head, like, I gotta get back to this. But then I'll keep going, and then you'll make that comment, and I'll go, oh yeah, I forgot to address that thing. Like, even with I have a thought. Remember that sentence? I've been thinking, and then they get into a whole different other conversation, and then he gets back to I've been thinking. There's a part in Lost Ruins where Simon says I've been thinking, and Monty has like a quip and says back, and then they get into this whole other kind of tangential conversation, and then Dottie, when she read that part, she said, okay, what was he thinking about? Was he thinking about all that joking that they were doing? Oh yeah, I got to bring them back to the conversation that's supposed to happen after I've been thinking, because the other conversation is like a parenthesis in that. So those are really important because they help me kind of get back into the flow of what needs to happen. So yeah, so it's not a critique, but there are observations. Yeah.
Thank you, Audrey, for the question.
That was a great question, Audrey. Thank you. And a great answer, Dolly. Thank you. All right, Orlando. How do you come up with the title to your books? Jeez. Wow. Okay. So what I do is I subscribe to the book title author store, and every month they send me 10 titles. No, that's what I do. The question is, how do I come up with the title to the books? Oh, listen. It's like how you come up with the stories. Actually, for me, I always get the titles first, and then the story flows from the title. Actually, the story flows from the title, the description of the story, and the covers. When I see the covers, it actually does kind of like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So, but to honestly tell you how I come up with the titles, Same place I come up with the stories. They come to me. I always get my titles before I write the books. I never have to worry about what am I going to title this book. Did I have that issue with Rose? With Apricot? No, right? Yeah, I just changed it. I always my titles have always come very easily. If you look at my wall, I have covers that are going to come. All the titles are there already. I always have the titles first. One of the ways that they do come though is reading other books. You have to be open. Sometimes uh, I'll read an awesome part in another book, and I'll say that would make a great title. Even Two Yards and Butterflies was from an excerpt from a Ray Bradbury quote. And when I read it, it just popped out at me and said, that would be a great title, Two Yards and Butterflies. So you have to be open. Titles come to you depending on what you immerse yourself in. So that's basically my answer to how I come up with the titles. A very long, roundabout answer to saying titles are always present, and if you're open to receiving them, hearing them, they'll make themselves known to you. Thank you for those questions, Audrey. All right, Rebecca says, Simon and Chi, yes? How did they get hooked up? Will Monty and Roxanne ever have a date? Okay, Simon and Chi, yes. How did they get hooked up? I don't know if I'm writing that story. If I do, it's going to be a short story or a novella. Will Monty and Roxanne ever have a date? I don't know. That last date that I did with Simon did not go so well. I can't imagine one with Monty and Roxanne going well. So I don't know. Maybe it's a whole different kind of situation. It wouldn't never be a book. It's more like that sounds like more like of a short story, like the date was. I don't know. I don't know if it's needed. We'll see. We'll see. There's things that need to develop between Monty and Roxanne. So yeah. Okay. But thank you for the question, Rebecca. Those are fun questions. Chris Mendoza asks, when you first wrote Two Million Butterflies, how many books did you originally have in mind for the series? 3. It's supposed to be a trilogy, just 3 books. I got to the 3rd book, and the story. Actually, the 3rd book was the famous cliffhanger book. It was Blood is Thicker, and that was the famous book that had the cliffhanger that nearly got me killed. So I had to write the next book. I had to write book 4, or else I wasn't going to be around much longer. And then after book 4, the story kept going, and so yeah, and now we're on book 19. So somebody looking for somebody. So it was planned for 3. I didn't want to do another pentology because Spiritual Warrior killed me. It's just so hard to keep that story going. Also because it was the first story, so I was still kind of learning the craft as a writer, right? And then Sepia Blue was another pentology, but that had a big pause between 3 and 4. But 3 trilogy was what Monty and Simon were going to be. I figured 3 books, get it done, and move on to the next thing. Haven't moved on yet. Okay, so thank you for that question, Chris Mondos. All right, let's see. One of the things I admire most, this is from Jeanette. One of the things I admired most about the M&S World is there's a lovely lack of Deus Ex Machina. If you don't know what Deus Ex Machina is, it's when God, you have a convenient thing that saves everyone, or a convenient device to kind of bail the hero out at the last second without any explanation. So it's like God in the machine, is what it translates to, right? The question that extends from this observation is, who do you plan for things like Simon's Keepsaker? I guess this is Keepsaker. Do you know ahead of time, or is this the effect of such strong world building? It's a little bit of both. I know ahead of time, and the world kind of has certain things that fall into place. So, like, I know that if I'm going to have a vehicle, I already have the structure of Sinatran in the world. If it's going to be a Sinatran vehicle, it's going to be ruled a certain way. Things going to, so it's already part of the world. Same thing like the restaurants that they go to, or things like that, or the clothes that they wear. These things are already natural, parts of the world that they're in. So I don't have to think about it so much. I already know how this stuff is going to flow and how it's going to work. So it's a little bit of both. I already know ahead of time, and it's also part of the strong world building. If you build your world really strongly, you set up the things that need to be set up properly, like groups like the Dark Council and hinting at the Light Council, the NYTF, things like that, the sects and the mage sects, SECTS. Those things are already established. It makes it easier for certain things to happen. Like the word weaves come in, you know Arya is going to be there. You know how things are going to flow from the cloisters and things like that. So once you do that first, things you can't spend too much time building the world, or you'll get lost in world building and you won't tell the story. So you got to have a balance. Jules asks or says, "I'd love to see a pic of one of your outlines, or you know how people have those communication corner boards that have everything there. If you have one of those, I don't show outlines because everyone's outline is unique and different. And I have a notebook, but I can tell you what you can do. It's very easy. I have up on my board the 14 Signposts of Story by James Scott Bell, which is the easier version of Larry Brooks' story structure. If you want a book on story structure, story engineering, this is the book I recommend to every new writer. But the thing is that it has a really steep learning curve. Like Brooks doesn't write for beginning writers. So this is the book, Story Engineering. He has 6 core competencies in there, and um, he writes really elevated, and so it's tough to follow. But once you've kind of gotten the idea of what it is, if you can read this book and absorb the knowledge in this book, you never have to worry about outlining your book ever again. That's how good it is. But if that one isn't, that might be beyond most. I know it was beyond. I had to read it like 3 times, so I know it's beyond most writers. So if that was beyond you, then you go for something like this, which is James Scott Bell, plot, plot and structure, and this is how to craft a plot and how to write your story. So that's where I have the 14 signposts of story, and that's what I do. I use Bell's 14 signposts of story mixed in with the 6 core competencies of Larry Brooks, and that's how I plot the stories. And it works well. It works well. It's like I said, when you start out, you have to do your homework as an author. You have to read. You have to, you know, study, perfect your craft, read more, read again, and keep reading and keep improving because this is a craft that you can always improve. You never get to the point where you arrive as an author. You're always learning. You're always improving. Always. So thank you everyone for the questions. They were awesome. Let's see. When I'm in Central Park, do you visualize all the action in stores? Yes. Um, we were at the Met recently, and I looked out. So the Met has this one gallery area which leads right into Central Park. You can look outside. It's in the back of the museum, and you can look right outside. And then I would imagine the stuff that happens in the stores. I have stuff that happened in the Met too in one of the books, so it's pretty awesome. I think in the Temple of Dundur. Okay, so let's see. Let's get to author. We got author shout outs. All right, so we have the first one. We're not gonna close the show until we shout out our authors. Our first one. Yeah, I think so. Oh, I didn't see that question. Hold on. I'm going to hide this for a moment. What is that question? Oh, okay. Oh, it's actually in the feed. Hold on. Oh, here. Sarah asks, will Stormblood be out in audiobook soon? Yes. 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 Very soon, actually. Yeah. So yeah, it's because they had a short month too, so it'll be out soon, like soon TM, my soon, like really quick. So don't despair. It's coming out. Okay, so let's see. Right, there's a microclimate in larger cities. It makes them warmer. True. All right, so let's get to the authors because I have Chris is putting up the links. So first author, our own Ben Zakheim is doing the Unholy Deuce, which is in the Delta Underground Operatives. I don't want to see it. I guess it's an anthology, but it's a collection of authors getting together, writing in the same shared world. So it's not really an anthology in that sense, but they're all writing in the same world. It's a bunch of authors, amazing authors, that have gotten together to write in this world. So it's a shared world. So one world, many authors. So pick up this book. There's the link. It's called Unholy Deuce, Amelia and Ichabod part of the Delta Underground Operatives. So get that. It's our own Ben Zackheim, so go get that, please. Then we also have Noah. Noah has Bangkok Warlock. This is a book he's already written. Uh, Again, we all know Noah. He used to be one of our mods, and he grew up and went and did his own thing as an author. So get his book. Noah's book is Bangkok Warlock. This is part of the PPD. So if you know what the PPD is, these are books that were done in collaboration with John Logson, and they're all great series. So this one is the Bangkok PPD. So go get it. Who's next? Let's see. We have Stephanie Fox and Alex Steele, the Chaos Mages series in Audible. So this is the Audible set of the Chaos Mages. Great series from what I understand. I haven't read it. I own it, but I haven't read it. But I know Stephanie, I know Alex, and they're great writers. I have read some of their work. And go out and get the Audible book for the Chaos Mages, please. Let's see. Oh, this is Kimbra. So Kimbra has returned to the Trailerverse. She has a bunch of stories set in the Trailerverse. And this is kind of a short, this is a novella. It's a little story within the Trailerverse. So go grab this. Everybody, Kimbra Swin, I've known her since she started writing her first book. So go grab this book. It's a Trailerverse novella, Picks and Thorns Trilogy Book 1. So I'm guessing she has 2 more books in this series. So go grab it. Let's see. We've got Kirsten. She's one of our MoB authors, and she's on Vela, which is short for Novella, Kindle's new program. And she has Godless Tenumbra. So that's a new story. Go check it out. I don't know how to get stories on Vela. I know they're like credits, and then there's things like this and other stuff. So anyone figure out how to get the books on Vela, let me know. But go to Kindle Vela and pick up Kirsten's story, please. That'd be awesome. Wendy informs me, let me hide this. Wendy informs me that R.L. King just published Demon Blade. Oh, that's like her 26th or 25th book. I mean, she's been writing for a while. It's called Demon Blade. From her, Alistair Stone is a mage. It's a really great character that she's written. The series and audio can be purchased from her website. So go to her website, R.L. King. That's R.L. King. Let me just put this up here real quick. R.L. King. So R.L. King, and go to her website, which I'm guessing is rlking.com. Unless it's something different, Wendy. Can you give me the website for R.L. King? We can post it up. We can go visit. Thank you, Chris. That is awesome. Yes, Benna, it's a shared world. Yes, they're all writing in a shared world. That's for the book that Ben is writing. The Delta Underground Operatives, DUO, is what I understand is the acronym, DUO. Paige is putting out that wiki. M&S Wiki needs to work on your time, but anyone can add to it. Go crazy. So please, if you want, add to the M&S Wiki things you might remember, things you might know. Go and add to our M&S Wiki, and Paige will kind of shape it into some kind of form. And she has Mitzi as her avatar. It's a great avatar, Paige. All right, let's see. Wendy, is this the R.L. King's book? Is this the link? Hopefully that is. Oh, also we have March 1st, which is tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. 4 days from now. John Logson has Grave Crusade. So go get that. Thank you, Benna. I don't think he's advertising. He has put anything up because I think it's on pre-order. So, but just a heads up that there's another Grave World. I don't know series. John Logson's books, Grave books. A new one is coming out very soon. March 1st, in fact. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yeah, Kimbra's also part. Right, Kimbra's also part of the duo, the Delta Underground Operatives. Right, there are a bunch of authors there, so it's awesome that they've gotten together to do that. Fantastic. Okay, guys, it's like way past our time. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys are just amazing, and we'll be here again on the 10th of March. Already we're in March. It's ridiculous how fast this year is going, and go visit our website, orlandoasanchez.com. Sign up if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, and you get free books also. We got new comments. Let's see. Where's my closer? Oh, good. Okay. There's no link for John yet. No, because he's waiting. I think he's going to do a push on the Grave series. So we're going to wait for that. Demon Blade is R.L. King's 32nd novel in the series. So you want to read a long series written by a really good author with a great main character, which is Alistair Stone, pick up the R.L. King Alistair Stone series. It's fantastic. It's really good. Here's her link. Go to her site, rlkingwriting.com. So go there. I don't know where the time went, really. I don't know where. Audrey, thank you again. Everyone who submitted questions, thank you so much. The questions are awesome. I always look forward to the new questions you guys are going to have and things you're going to ask. It's just amazing. So I want to thank you all. I want to wish you all a happy weekend. And my closer's here. So closer, close out the show, please.
Bye.
Bye. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
What episode are we?
88.
Of what? All right. Wait, bye. Bye. All right, here we go. So, guys, always have a great weekend. And remember, always be uncommon.